Good evening to you and welcome to the program. Tonight, a mother's courage. Marliese Burden was there on the family sheep station when her son Michael fled from a police interrogation and took his own life after the disappearance of his wife Tanya Ebert. So what is the truth of this love affair that went so wrong, and how did it descend into such tragedy? Mark Mooney reports.
He wanted his daddy. Please turn around. I need you, Daddy. I love you, Daddy.
As you know, Tanya Ebert's been missing since Tuesday the 8th of August 2017 and is presumed to have been murdered. The last independent sighting of Tanya...
This is a family tragedy that shocked and saddened an entire state. The hard-working farmer and his young German wife, their two beautiful boys and a breathtaking outback sheep station.
There were all these plans and all these dreams, and it just didn't work somehow.
The first we heard was that Michael Burden's wife Tanya Ebert had mysteriously disappeared. Then came the urgent dash by major crime detectives to their sprawling property, followed by this shock disclosure.
During the course of the afternoon, police momentarily lost sight of Michael and then very shortly after heard a muffled gunshot.
So this is Michael?
And he was still at the Yunta school, although I think that was his last year.
Michael's mother, Marliese Burden, was there at the time of her son's death. Now all she has to remember him by are the family photos, those and memories of a happy little boy despite some challenges early in life.
He was severely dyslexic, so that made his life so much harder and school life so much harder.
Throughout childhood, he leaned on his brother Mark for help. They were thick as thieves.
And I think a lot of he did have problems, and I think they can be taken back to the time his brother died, because they were so close.
So what happened to Mark?
He died, suicide at 19. So this is a double whammy.
In the years that followed, Michael spent more time helping his father Peter run the family's Manna Hill sheep station in the state's far northeast. But in 2014, he lost his father too, after a long battle with a brain tumour.
When his father died, he knew he had the responsibility of the station.
Not long before his father died, Michael had found love with a young German backpacker named Tanya Ebert. They met in a country pub where she worked. She was 18 years his junior.
She was very young, whimsical.
Michael was instantly smitten. After a whirlwind courtship, they had their first child, Oscar. Tanya loved life on the land, and the two of them appeared to have a perfect future ahead.
And they did it together. And she was supposed to do the books because he found that really difficult. Tanya wasn't very good at doing the books. So you can't blame her for that. It's just, she was very good with the stock and the station work. And that probably was, in Michael's eyes, that was enough.
After welcoming their second son, Charlie, Michael and Tanya were married at an intimate ceremony in February this year. The grandeur of the country station was a fitting backdrop to their romantic union. To their friends, they appeared to be head over heels.
Very, very, very loving couple.
But in truth, they were already drifting apart. Just 2 months after the wedding, Tanya raised eyebrows when she left Michael and the kids at home and travelled to the Bahamas for a friend's wedding.
I was very surprised that that happened straight after the wedding and without Michael. And then I realised that the situation was quite serious. And I think for her it was a trial period of being away. She'd fallen out of love with Michael.
She also went home to Germany, telling her mother Andrea their marriage was on the rocks.
I don't think Mum was surprised at how things went, because I think Tanya had already asked her how to get a divorce, so she knew.
But she could never have imagined the terrible twist that was just around the corner.
And this is a tragic outcome that nobody wanted.
This is the last time Tanya was seen alive, leaving the museum on North Terrace with Michael and the boys. What happened next may never be known. Michael told police they had a fight on their way home. He said Tanya got out of the car at Roseworthy and stormed off. Police suspected he was lying, convinced they had returned to their property that night and that Michael killed Tanya before burying her body.
He was totally distraught and vulnerable. He was all over the place.
8 days after Tanya's disappearance, police ramped up their investigation, launching a search at Roseworthy. At the same time, a team of major crime detectives from Adelaide converged on the Burdens property.
He was guilty straight away. And I can still see the men running after them, and I'm sure they had their pistols drawn. It was just like cowboys.
Now, when police arrived at the Manna Hill property run by her son Michael, Marlies was there caring for her 2 grandchildren. Their mother, Tanya, had been missing for 8 days and their father was suddenly the focus of a murder investigation. Mark Mooney continues the story.
They didn't even come and introduce themselves to me or say hello or this is what we're going to do.
Michael Burden's mother, Marlies, had been on the Manna Hill station for several days, helping Michael look after the boys following Tanya's disappearance. It was the 16th of August when detectives arrived unannounced.
They were suddenly there, closeted themselves in the kitchen with Michael, and then I saw Michael every now and then looking really pale, pasty, very unhappy.
She quickly realised Michael was a suspect, the only suspect in Tanya's disappearance. She says as far as detectives were concerned, he was guilty.
They treated him like an animal. Once he talked to his lawyer, they turned the recorder off and then said, I believe, that now we're going to search Olena Park. We're going to dig up Olena Park. And at that stage, I think he lost it.
What happened next will haunt her for the rest of her days.
They were all outside discussing I don't know what when he said he needed to go to the toilet. And he left, somehow managed to get a gun and ammunition, ran further away from the station, and then somebody heard a muffled shot. We didn't hear the shot.
Paramedics scrambled to the scene, but there was nothing they could do.
And then it was all over. And the policeman came in and said, sorry to have to tell you like this, but your son is dead. But that was the most horrible thing.
A commissioner's inquiry was launched.
It's fair to say that the actions of my branch and all the attending police will be closely examined in the commissioner's inquiry.
So how did Michael get access to a gun? He's the prime suspect in a murder.
Exactly. How did he get access to anything? A gun that with ammunition, and maybe a duty of care wouldn't be a bad thing, rather than to go in there guns blazing.
Then came the grim search for Tanya's body.
Everybody wants to find Tanya and everybody wants to know exactly what happened.
But on a property twice the size of Mount Gambier, that was never going to be easy.
If Michael had hidden the body, nobody would find it. He knew the station, every stone on the station.
A massive search party was assembled from across the state. Horses, motorbikes, even a mine expert was called in to check old wells and mine shafts on the property. But after 6 days of searching, still no sign of Tanya. Marlies Burden says police left behind a costly mess.
Like an invasion. No, they ripped up roads, they twisted piping, water piping. Has anybody cleaned up after the chaos that they created and the damage? For instance, big machinery was left without fuel and then had to be bled in order to be able to, and by a mechanic, in order to sort of be able to be worked again.
Frustratingly for police, Michael gave no clues nor admissions before he died.
Do you think Michael killed Tanya?
I know there are crimes of passion where people are so feel so deeply that they forget that they act in haste or whatever. I don't think he was that type of person, although he was very, very upset. I can't understand it. I don't believe it. I think she may still be there somewhere. I think she's run away.
Friends say she'd never leave her sons like this. Oscar and Charlie are now living with family friends on a station similar to the one they've been growing up on. Their grandmother prays they're too young to remember what happened the day their father died.
We managed to bundle them up. The most horrible drive because Oscar screamed for half the trip, wanting his daddy. He wanted his daddy. Please turn around. I need you, Daddy. I love you, Daddy. It was just... Maybe I'm doing my grieving now.
Such an awful tragedy, and police won't comment as several inquiries are underway. Mark Mooney with that report.